So we've spoken about what disability is. That understanding of disability leads directly into the development of ministry. Now later we're going to talk specifically about how to share the gospel, how to teach people about the Bible. But there's other aspects of disability which can be critical parts of ministry, and I want to talk about that a little bit. There's a famous theorist whose name is Wolf Wolfensberger. And Wolf Wolfensberger tried to help us to understand what might be called the social consequences of disability. To step back a little bit first, the way things are understood by a society is called a social construction. It's just kind of how ideas are developed or how ideas are thought about. And when you think about disability, it's almost always thought about in a negative way. Although when we talk about a Christian model, we're trying to replace that negative way of thinking about people with disabilities. And understanding these social consequences so we can address them is one way to try to change that negative understanding of who people with disabilities are. So if disability is constructed socially in a negative way, then there are social consequences. And as I say, that's what Wolfensberger tried to really flesh out, is to try to understand these social model ideas of discrimination and kind of say specifically what they are. So with that in mind, what might the specifics of discrimination look like? Well, Wolfensberger developed this idea which is called social role valorization. You could check into it more if you want. It's actually really, really interesting. Within that social role valorization theory, he talked about the bad things that happen to people who have been devalued, meaning treated poorly by others, or their ideas cause them to treat them poorly. Well, let me just say before I launch into these, talking about these 18 wounds, that I have shared this information on 5 continents in 21 countries. And although this was developed by a Caucasian American guy in like the 1970s, 1980s, in every place I've gone to, I've asked the people, after I've shared it, I've said, is this true here, in this particular place? Whether it's Asia or Africa or Eastern Europe, wherever it might be, South America, is this true here? And in every one of the places, the people said, yes, it's also true here. And so one of the things that's critical to understand about this is that there's a degree to which that it is very much cross-cultural in the way that people with disabilities are treated, which in itself is pretty interesting. Couple last things is that how does this relate to ministry? This is an important part of ministry. If people are being treated badly, there's 3 things potentially we want to do. We want to prevent them from being treated badly by society. We want to stop that. If it is occurring where they're being treated badly, we want to stop that. And if we can't stop it, Wolfensberger says, can we at least reduce it so it's not as bad as it was? There's an article in the Going Deeper section that I'll talk about later that's called Social Healing. And social healing talks specifically about each of these wounds and how, as a kind of ministry idea, we can try to cause people to not experience the discrimination that comes with the social consequences of disability. So we're going to break the 18 wounds into several different sections, and I'll talk about them individually in each of these sections. But I broke it into sections because I figured it'd be easy for you to find if you want to look back at them later. Okay, so with that in mind, let's just dive right in.